Hi, this is Danny Doyle, and I am here with Casual Jacob. And
hello.
We're doing a brand new series.
We're playing Peak.
We're playing Peak. We're playing one of our favorite ROM hacks. It's my favorite. I don't know if it's Jacob's favorite or just one of your favorites.
I've played like 3 ROM hacks, so there's not a lot of competition.
Not
but
a lot
it's
of
still
competition. Peak. It is Peak. It is Peak.
It's Peak even compared to all my favorites in the main series as well. So it's not just stacking up against other ROM hacks and stuff.
I mean, I would say that most ROM hacks are better than all main series games, is my opinion. But we're playing TMGC. I did a review of this a little while back. Player growth mode.
Oh boy.
0% growth. So here's something interesting, right? So we're doing 0%, but there is also minimum, which means that anyone who has 100% growths in there, like this is a more realistic 0 growths. We're doing 0% growths though, which means no one will ever gain stats other than promoting and stat boosters.
Because for example, you get a unit early on who has over 100% HP growth. In a minimum growth setting, they would always get a point of HP, because you can always assume that in a worst case scenario, a blank level would roll a point of HP anyways.
Hey Jacob.
Yeah.
Do you see what option I'm hovering over right now?
Oh, I do, and I'll be the one laughing every time you whiff an important attack.
But what if we dodge important attacks because of it?
Just make sure, if you pick one RN mode, just make sure you pick view the use description of a bolting tome as soon as possible.
Wait, does it change?
No, it just says have fun rigging.
Oh, that's funny. I did not pick one RN mode.
I had a feeling you wouldn't. Oh no, look at our growth rates, they're all gray.
No, they're not. Like, you get to actually... That's one of the cool things, because we're going to be doing unit reviews. And we get to actually see what each unit's growths are, instead of having to, like, remember or pull them up on a bot. Which is really cool. We just see the minus, the minus whatever.
Yeah, you get to see what it is.
But, I mentioned we're doing unit reviews, so should we start with Blair? With Blair?
Yeah, with the blue Blair.
Well, not in your Iron Man. She was not a Blair.
Yeah, she was not the blue Blair.
So Blair is my pick for the best unit in the game. She has, well, not perfect availability because of the structure of the game, but as close to it as you can possibly get. She has, in the early game, she's just sort of like a decent, fairly fast, fairly hard-hitting mage. 65% magic growth, 50% speed growth on bases that are solid. They're not anything special, but they're solid. Meanwhile, you can see her base defense and defense growth are pretty low. HP's fine, and res is surprisingly good, but against physical enemies, she's paper. Once you hit the halfway point in the game, well, I should actually say, we're going to be doing mechanical spoilers throughout this playthrough. I'm going to try to avoid story spoilers, because I do think the story of this game it's really great, and if you haven't played it, you should experience it for yourself, but
yes.
Just be warned, if you haven't played this, we are going to be doing some mechanical spoilers, oftentimes, like, just ahead of when they would be revealed, so this
Something
is your...
unit X unit can do way late into the game or whatever.
Yeah, because a lot of units have secret events tied to them. And in the case of Blair, it's not a secret event. At least mechanically, she does not have a secret event tied to her, unless I'm forgetting something. But she has a really, really good promotion. It is
very good.
It's essentially a foot version of a Master Knight. So she starts out as an anima mage. She has charm, which is pretty good. Or not charm, charisma, which is boosting hit and avoid to allies within 3 tiles. At level 15,
reliability.
At level 15, she gets inspiration, which boosts damage by 2 and also reduces damage by 2 within 2 tiles. So she can sort of like slot into this role of being a support unit who can also do magical damage on player phase. When she promotes, she gets swords, light, Dark, and Stabs. And for that reason, I think she's a very, very good user of the Discipline Scroll. You get 2 of them, and in a vanilla context, I think she's probably the best user of 1. And since you get 2, you can give 1 to your favoritism project and still give 1 to her, just because it affects all of her ranks, and you can achieve multiple S ranks in this game, which often play very well together, and especially play well with the fact she has convoy access.
She can just grab out whatever she needs at any point.
Yes, and one of the S-rank swords is a weapon that gives you plus 100 to your hit, avoid, and crit if it is the only item in your inventory. And it's very hard for other people to make use of it, because then they have to literally only have it in their inventory. But what Blair can do is on turns where she wants to just get up to 100 avoid and dodge everything, she can grab that sword out of the convoy and put everything else into the convoy, and suddenly, bada bing, bada boom, it's not a problem.
Whoops, I can't get hit anymore.
And the same is true of, like, obviously that's the most extreme one that the supply helps her with, but if you want her to be a staff bot, she effectively has all of the stabs in her inventory already. If you
she has 155 inventory spaces.
It's 200, really. 205 eventually.
Oh yeah, because eventually you get the extra slots, yeah.
Yeah, you start with 150, and then it goes up to 200 for plot reasons. But it's, it lets her be very, very flexible, and combined with the large number of different items in her inventory, she can pull off a lot of really good stuff. And all of those weapon types are really desirable. As a magical unit, swords might seem like a bit of a meme, but I mentioned the S-rank sword. There's also a lot of magical swords in this game. The flame sword boosting your magic for staff range is legitimately useful if you want her to do staffing stuff. Anima is good because, you know, magic is good, it's just generically good magic, but then light is the most accurate weapon type in the game, to the degree that sometimes you'll fight enemies who have that weapon that gives them plus 200 or plus 100 avoid, and you want to have a light tome user to be able to use it. And hey, the S-rank light tome is also a basically infinite range siege tome, so that's pretty good. And then dark, again, on higher ranks, you get some good dark stuff. Even in lower ranks with Nosferatu, she can be surprisingly tanky for a unit with such low defenses, just because her HP will keep on pace with everyone, and she's fast enough not to get doubled. And her magic will be high enough to not tank a huge group of enemies, but enough, I would say. So yeah, very, very good at almost every stage of the game. I think the weakest she is in the mid-game when she's just sort of a charm and inspiration bot, but even then, like, it's not like she's not useful at that point.
I think that pretty well sums a lot of stuff up. Funnily enough, the discipline scrolls you talked about, you get that second discipline scroll in the preps of the map that she promotes in. So you can give that first discipline scroll to whichever little training project you want to do, and as soon as she promotes, you can slap a discipline scroll on her, and now she's getting double weapon experience for all of her different ranks that she wants to train. Something you didn't mention that I'm kind of shocked that you didn't mention is her personal weapon.
Oh, I forgot about it. Yeah.
She starts with her personal weapon, the Awakened Tome. 12 might's pretty good, 110 hit, it's really accurate, and it grants Resolve, which gives you plus 50% strength, skill, and speed. The strength doesn't really mean anything, but the extra skill and speed below 50% is pretty nice. It lets her hit some doubling thresholds early in the game if you can keep her in low HP range. It's pretty cool.
And you could potentially combo it with either Vantage or Wrath if you want to go for a low HP Blair build, which
I don't think there's a Vantage manual in the game, but I know there's a Wrath manual.
There's not a Vantage manual. There is a Wrath manual. That's what it is you either give the Wrath manual to her or one of the Vantage units. So, thank you for not continuing to spread misinformation. But yeah, if you want to go for like a low HP Blair, Awaken can be very useful for that. She gets another personal weapon later on as well.
That also incentivizes low HP builds.
Yeah, what does that do again?
That one it's a really high might tome, and I believe it pierces res when you're below half HP. It grants Luna when you're below half HP. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty good weapon.
Pretty good option for her. The stadium down the street just started launching fireworks though, so I'm gonna take a pause real quick.
You're good.
We're back. Sorry about that. One last thing about Blair is she gets a third personal weapon beyond the two we mentioned. This one does not incentivize low health builds. Instead, it is a sword that uses the combination of her strength and magic. It shows up so late in the game that I think I've done combat with it like twice, because at that point you just have better options than the Hope Singer, but it's kind of cool, especially because
it's neat.
It has like plot relevance to one of her potential wives, in that they both get swords at the same time. So it can be like, oh, you know, the two lesbians with their swords. I think I used it exclusively for that reason in my first playthrough, because I like them as a couple. But speaking of the potential wife, let's talk about Erin.
Ooh, this is a unit I really like the design of a lot.
She's very cool. One of two, maybe three, maybe four Jagans, depending on how you define Jagan.
Yeah.
And she's definitely one of two, the two that join in Blair's army, but there are other armies, and you could potentially say like, oh, the Jagan of Zeke's army, the Jagan, yeah. But yeah, Erin is a trickster. She is so starts out with pretty decent stats, especially since they use magic swords, and like magic swords have pretty high might. Like, compared to, we got 9 might on the 11 sword compared to, well, actually, it's not that much higher might.
Yeah, the 11 sword doesn't have very high might, but
you get the light brand and the flame sword, so...
They're pretty good weapons.
Unfortunately, because of the way that magic swords work, you don't gain weapon experience off of them, so if you want to build her weapon rank, they're going to have to use physical swords, but B rank is enough for all the magic swords anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not like their strength is bad. Like, she has 8 strength. She has a higher magic growth than strength growth, but like, growth's on a Jagan? Who's ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say, and speaking of being Jagan or whatever, her EXP formula is really bizarre in how she gains. Combat-wise, she gets promoted EXP for kills and chips and whatever, but she gets unpromoted staff EXP.
Which does kind of lean into the utility role that I think she's better in, especially as the game goes forward, because starts out with Rally Luck, and then will, in 3 levels, get Rally Resistance, and in 11 levels, get Rally Defense, and so between the staffs, the rallies, and the fact that she has Reposition and
Reposition.
Swap, she can do a pretty decent job of being a utility unit, for quite a while.
So her combat's pretty decent early on, and then once you don't need her for combat anymore, you just use her to rally, use her to staff, use her to thief, use her to repo.
I really like you get a Canto Scroll. I like giving the Canto Scroll to Erin just because it can allow her to do the utility stuff a lot more easily. Now, it is theoretically something that you could see as a waste very, very late into the game, because when there are 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters left, Erin does get a secret promotion, which grants her the counterpart sword to Blair's sword, and also a horse, and also a lot of stats, although I would argue that those stats are not enough to make up for the deficiency that she'll have to the rest of your army, because, like, these growths are fine, but they're not, other than speed, skill, and luck, they're not good.
Yeah, they're pretty fine for the most part for what you'll need. Let me find I'm trying to remember what her personal sword is called.
I can pull up.
Because I think her personal weapon that she gets later grants +3 to all your stat.
It's not the creator, right?
No, that's something else. Oh, I think it's the blessed sword.
Yes, yeah. Because that was one of the things that caused the biggest delay in complete was the blessed sword animations.
Yes.
It grants +3, you say, when it's equipped?
I believe it's +3 to everything. I have to find it somehow, but I believe it's +3 to everything while it's equipped.
I know there are a lot of people who are really high on Erin's secret promotion. And I do like it. If you're trying to use her, you do definitely want to follow the steps to get... Like, if you're using her long term, you do definitely want to follow the steps to get it. It's not like it'll do something negative to her. I personally don't think it does enough to make her worthy of a deployment slot in the late game, outside of you're deploying her because you want to. Which, like, even in a game as hard as TMGC, you can deploy units who you want to use just because you want to use them. No one in this game is truly unusable. There are a lot of people who've killed the final boss with some of the worst units in the game just for the screenshot, and, like, more power to you. But I think if you just want to use, like, the best possible units for the situation, I don't think Erin's promotion does enough to get her, like, to justify it. But, you know, with growth boosters, growth adjusting items, stat boosters, favoritism, you can make anyone work. Like, and it helps. The promotion helps. Like, promotions, it's a real good promotion. It's just stapled onto a unit who's probably lagging behind. She does, I'll say this, she does get to level up to 30 before promoting, which does, like, help her not fall too far behind. But
they keep getting some staff EXP. Stabs also give more EXP in this game than they do in vanilla GBA, which is a big help.
Yes. I think no more 11 staff per heal, 12 per mend moment.
You actually get a decent amount if you're unpromoted or have unpromoted staff EXP.
But, yeah, I really like Erin. In both of my playthroughs, I deployed her for a very long time, and, I'm not sure how long we'll be promoting her this time, but, like, her stats are pretty good to start out, and that's important for a 0% growth playthrough.
Yeah, and staffing plus thief utility keeps her pretty awesome, and reposition's pretty cool.
And rallies are going to be useful for because our units are not going to be gaining stats. This is a way to make them gain stats.
A little bit extra here and there is nice.
Do you have anything else to say about Erin before we dive into the map?
I don't think so. I can't think of very many other things that really stand out. I'm sure I'll probably remember something as we go on, though.
She's cute, but you can say that.
Yeah.
You know, they're pretty awesome that way.
Very much so. So, yeah, we can steal stuff. That's pretty awesome.
So the steal formula in TMGC is unreliant on speed. You just get to steal. Stuff. Oh, I do like this. Blair has a talk combo for their first kill, a lot like Micaiah. I'm not the only person who has made the Micaiah connection with Blair, so I am wondering if the whole, like, talk before thing was intentional.
I would not have drawn that connection, but I've only played Radiant Dawn once, so I'm happy someone was able to point it out.
Stab. Fireball!
Oh my god, she's below half HP.
I know, Awaken is online now. However,
for as long as we dare to have it active.
However, the problem is that leaving Awaken online, especially on this map where we don't really have, like, the positioning flexibility you might want, is not as beneficial as you would like.
I think I usually have the 11 sword equipped turn 1 just to...
Oh, just to kill them all?
To delete out some of these enemies out of the way so I don't feel so choked here.
But what if I need it later?
We might need the 11 sword as 2 11 swords rot in my convoy in my current run.
You know who else we need? We need Kenneth.
Yeah, we got another unit. Dark Mage early.
This is another unit that I hear people talking about as potentially the best unit in the game, and like I can see it even if I don't agree. He's
pretty cool.
So he's got good mixed bulk, as both his defense and resistance and his HP are very decent. In Lunatic early game, he's one of the few units who can take multiple hits pretty reliably, which is nice. His speed is gonna struggle. 6 base is not phenomenal, and a 35% growth rate unless you staple a speed growth booster to him, which I believe, when do you get the Mercury boots? It's like chapter it's the
14.
desert chapter, right? Yeah.
Chapter 14 has a thief with the Mercury boots.
Oh, it's even later, yeah.
Yep, you gotta wait until 14 to get the speed boosting item.
That's pretty late. That is pretty late. Granted, like, he can still, like, I've used him long term. He can still tank going into the end game. And he does get a secret promotion about 2/3 of the way through the game to Baron. No. You have to fulfill the event 2/3 of the way of the game. He gets promotion the same time that Aaron does, right? To Baron?
Yes.
I haven't actually gotten his Baron promotion. I know it gives him Ardent March, right?
It gives him +1 to movement. It's almost like he ate a single boot, because Barons are supposed to have 5 move, so it wouldn't make very much sense if he was a sorcerer with 6 move and then got a leg cut off to get onto 5 movement again.
Gotcha.
So he permanently has move +1 whenever he promotes or whatever.
Okay. And then it leans more into that bulky mage aspect of him, which I do think is probably the strongest part of his kit. Although he does have another pretty cool attribute in Luna, the first
we
combat
talk
art.
about these things now.
So if you've played 3 houses, you already know how combat arts work, but if you haven't, instead of attacking normally, you can spend durability to get an extra effect. In TMGC, for almost every proc skill, they have been replaced by a combat art instead. So instead of being chance-based, whether or not you get to Adept or Luna or any of the other awesome, like, Astra, Soul type deals, you just spend the cost to do it. And I like that a lot better. It does hurt combat arts like Soul, which you would rather do on the enemy phase than player phase. But for the most part, I think being able to control when you do it is a strict upgrade, as opposed to having to gamble on Luna. Like, just being able to pay for durability to pierce defense is nice. He gets Pragmatic at 15. That is extra hit and damage versus damaged enemies. It's Leo's skill from Fates. And Dark Magic is nice, especially if you're tanky, because he can use Nosferatu. Especially since he has decent con. So he can use Nosferatu without getting weighed down. As much. I don't know if he gets weighed down at all or just not very much. But frequently he can just, like, not get doubled while holding Nos, and again, leans into the bulky attributes of him that I think are generally the best selling point, but Luna's nice too.
Yeah, the giving him Luna kind of helps with the low speed thing, because if he's not doubling anyways, you might as well add an extra 3 to 6 damage from negating res, depending on what kind of enemy you're fighting. So, because you can't double with combat arts, so it makes the lack of speed feel less bad, because instead of going, oh, I can either double here or I can combat art here, it's, do I want to just hit once or do I want to add a little bit of extra damage? Dark Mages in general are built to be a little bit more bulky in this game, and I like that way more than whatever GBA or other games are doing with Dark Mages for the most part. I like them as the bulky mages or whatever. I've seen Kenneth used a lot on other people's playthroughs. I haven't used Kenneth very much myself. I usually get around chapter 14, 15, and I end up dropping him just because there's so many other units I want to use.
Game has a very big cast.
It's a very big cast. And I've seen that he works really well for everyone that I've seen use him. I've seen him used on fixed modes. I've seen him used with growth boosters. And he kind of does just about what you would want him to. He can eat a hit. He can use stabs after promotion as a sorcerer. Big magic means big, like, physic range, if you can get him up to it. You can just kind of do whatever you need him to. He won't be doubling very often from what I've seen and from what the growth state, but he can still hit pretty hard and pierce through res with Luna very usefully.
He does also have a support with another character, Hilbert, that grants that character access to dark magic, and I believe... Does Kenneth get anima off of that? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but I know his like secret promotion to Baron gives him basically everything, right?
Yeah, so he can get all of the magic types just by going Baron. Which I guess is, like, even though it comes super, super late, it's nice to have that later on.
Oh, he does get a personal if he gets that Baron promotion.
Is that Void Wake?
Yes, he gets the Void Wake. If he gets to promote into Baron, it's an infinite use weapon that has no might. Let me look it up real quick.
It's Brave, though.
Yes, and even though you can't double with combat arts, if you use a Brave weapon with a combat art, it still strikes twice.
So he can use the Zero Might Brave Luna to just use his raw magic stat against an enemy, and assuming that, that's 70% growth, he's probably gonna have a pretty high raw magic stat as you get to the... Like, once you're at the point of the game where you're using Void Wake, he's gonna be doing a lot of damage with it if you just click that Luna button.
Just tear through stuff with it.
Which is pretty good. Like I say, I've heard some other people call him the best unit in the game, and even though I personally think Blair is better, Kenneth is still quite good.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him best, but he is definitely amazing. He's pretty awesome and pretty important early on.
So 17 attack, 10 defense. Okay, so what we do is... we do this.
It's kind of difficult or different not being able to just look everything up on a wiki or something if we need anything.
Yeah, I have Builder open in the other menu, and I have done multiple playthroughs as well. I have a couple of notes as well about, like, some of the more, specific secret events, but not having just, like, a comprehensive document of everything does make it so that we're probably going to miss at least one detail, and...
a little bit here and there.
I appreciate y'all bearing with us through that.
Yeah, I did a playthrough up to about chapter 23 on my first playthrough because it wasn't finished yet. I did a second playthrough up to chapter 25, and I'm currently trying to play to the end on my current run on Lunatic, and I'm up to like chapter 22 or something.
In an Iron Man.
Yeah. And it's scary.
19 attack. Okay, I think we make use of Awaken here. She doesn't double with Awaken.
Not quite. How much
This
is
is
it
the best. This is the fastest our Blair is getting.
Oh, right. If she gets a single point of speed, that's an extra resolve speed point as well.
Okay, so Blair's not doubling anything for the rest of eternity. That is so sad. That is so sad.
I think Awakening also weighs her down by 1. So, we better get used to what we got.
Okay, 17. We can set up a kill for Aaron.
It's still good as a big might, big accuracy weapon. Because it still has more might than a Fire Tome and it has 110 hit. So it's still good as a I just need to hit something pretty hard weapon.
And there are frequently times where we just need to hit something very hard.
Yes. Speaking of getting hit really hard.
Wait, Blair's gonna have to dodge an axe. Or not Blair, Aaron's gonna have to dodge an axe, is what's gonna happen. I believe in her. Dodge tank, right?
I'm getting visions of a guy in a house in a swamp that says he had a dream once that lunatics get hit more often. Do you think that means anything?
What?
Oh, you never got that house, did you?
What house? Is this FE3?
No, there's a house in a later map that's supposed to hint you in that if you play on Lunatic mode, enemies get a hit bonus
Yes.
to make Avo tanking harder, but there's a guy in a house that's like, oh, I heard in a dream that...
Well, but look, she
Lunatics get hit
just
more.
dodged anyway. Because Aaron is just built different.
She's pretty cool.
This is why you use your Jagans, because they're built different.
Oh, you also don't need any lockpicks or anything to open doors or anything in this game. You just open them, so you don't have to clutter up your inventory with lockpicks, which is great, because 5 inventory slots is not enough at some late stages in the game.
And you can steal into the convoy if you have a full inventory.
Yes, you can steal with full inventory, and it just lets you throw some in the convoy. It's so nice.
It's pretty epic.
I get so used to it, and then I go play other games, and I'm like, wait, what do you mean I can't steal this?
I mean, look, Blair's not going to be a long-term combat unit. We could use Awaken, it's fine. It just feels bad to be one short. Because I do want to train Blair to the point where she gets Inspiration. Because, you know,
yes, that would be
Inspiration's
good.
a pretty good skill. I know some of the 0% thresholds that Inspiration lets you meet, which is nice. Whoosh. I'm going to show off these staff animations just the once, because they are cute and they are not in vanilla.
Yes.
However, I do not like staff animations, and so my favorite quality of life is we can turn off the assist animations.
Yes.
And when there are new staffers whose animations I want to show off... Whoops, I hit the wrong button. It's L, right?
Oh, you actually... For assist animations, you can't do the L button to toggle animations.
Oh, this is so sad.
But this game does have,
plus
so you can hold the L button to toggle your animations. Which
I'll
is
show off by turning off Kenneth's animations.
There you go. It is one of the best quality of lives that have ever been added to the Fire Emblem series, and I didn't even realize how bad I wanted it until I started using it.
See, I don't use L toggle that much, mostly because I just forget it exists. So my favorite quality of life is the assist off one, but I'll turn assist on for each new assist animation we get so we can show them all off.
Makes sense.
Make sure we get our houses.
There are some mechanical differences between this game and the other GBA games, but I guess we'll kind of drip those as we start making use of them, or as we start noticing them. For example, the cool blue tile on the bottom section of the screen.
This is a Shadow Dragon save point.
Except it's even better because it doesn't eat your turn to use it.
It's pretty epic.
So that's a pretty awesome thing. I think save points are... I think you agree with me on this, that save points are probably the best way the series has ever done a way to keep you from losing an entire map of progress if you have to reset.
Yeah, I like them a lot better than the turn wheel, which I feel is kind of lame. Don't get me wrong, turn wheel is better than nothing, but I prefer, like, having a resource you have to spend. So, like, save points, or, T-Ring Saga does the save staff, which, like, is a staff that you use to save the game.
Which is incredibly funny.
It's very goofy. And then Berwick Saga and Vestaria Saga let you save every 5 turns, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like FE4, but instead of doing literally every turn, it's every 5 turns, which feels like a more reasonable, time.
Every time I play FE4 and then go to play another game, if I leave the autosave on, I have to break bad habits. The moment when I go to play another Fire Emblem game and I remember, oh, I can't just restart at the start of every turn now.
There we go, our first Aaron level. Oh, she didn't level any stats. That's why you don't train your Jagans. EXP Thief.
They fall off.
EXP Thief moment.
Oh, we do get that Steel Sword early on, and since no one else can use it, it kind of helps Aaron's damage output a little bit, which is kind of hype.
So, one of the mechanic differences that you might have just noticed, vulneraries are 20 HP now.
And that's awesome.
Which is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, vulneraries being 10 HP, it especially sucks whenever vulneraries are only 10 HP. And
He's stationary, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we can just worry about the other enemies.
So I think we just put Blair here.
Yeah. Vulnerary is only healing 10 in conjunction with the game that only also has elixirs. Means that your options are, do you want to heal 10 HP or all HP? So I like 20 HP vulneraries. It kind of keeps them relevant longer.
I really like that random soldier has a Shatter Spear, which is an armor-effective weapon. And none of our units are armored units, and not only that, but in New Game Plus, because New Game Plus adds reclassing, none of these units can reclass into an armored unit with the first seal.
I think it's specifically there to make him easier to double or whatever. It's just there to weigh him down.
Yeah, it's there so that Kenneth can double him, which is very funny and epic.
And it's awesome because it shows off that the Shatter Spear has a different name than the Heavy Spear, because Shatter Spear is an awesome name.
And yet, at the same time, it is still heavy.
Yes, it is still a heavy spear.
So, you deal 10 to Kenneth, so Kenneth can just kill this guy. Although, I think I'd rather Blair be the one who gets the chip there.
Yeah, I think we want Blair to get as much EXP as possible.
Pragmatic doesn't really matter. Because Pragmatic is a skill that only helps Kenneth. Inspiration is a skill that helps other people.
Plus, with Pragmatic, I find it's an in-character skill for him, but I find it a weird skill for him to have, because he's going to be the one chipping first, so you can finish with a 1 range. At least that's what happens to me in most of my runs. He just ends up never getting to use Pragmatic, because the enemies are always at full whenever he attacks them.
See, for me, I feel like the intention is, because he's a unit who can use Nosferatu, he uses Nosferatu on enemy phase to damage them, and then Pragmatic is active on player phase. It's why I like in Fates getting the various seal skills onto your Nos tanks, since they are the units who struggle to one round the most. And I mean, with a 70% magic growth, struggle to one round might be an exaggeration, but it is the same principle of like, the sort of unit you can throw it into a bunch of enemies.
Ooh, now that I think about it, Jormungandr would also help with Pragmatic a lot. Because of how Jormungandr works in this game. It has like a Savage Blow built into it.
True. It's like the Poison Strikey thing?
Yeah, so you can hit a bunch of enemies with it. Now the group of 2 or 3 enemies are missing HP, and now he does Pragmatic damage. First boss kill, whee!
What if I need it later?
So funny.
What if I need it later? What if I need it later?
You might need it later.
Killing us won't make this go. Ugh! I love this boss music, by the way.
Oh, it's really good. There's a lot of really good music in this.
Okay, we'll just heal you up a little bit. The sooner we get Aaron to the extra rallies, the better. So,
yes.
like, I value getting those rallies early more than I value 2 heal uses. I'm not going to use the third one because, like, we're seizing, but it was a we might as well anyway.
Yeah, we have the turn.
And you might as well hit the like button. I mean, you watched this far. You must like the content. So, you know, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Subscribe to Jacob's channel too, because Jacob is awesome. And sometimes I'm there. So, you know.
Very true.
Very, very good, very true. Y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, gamers.
See you around.